The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack Dude. Sack Dude.
Radio.
Sack Dude. Sack Dude.
Radio.
Sack. Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the spiral.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sackheads Radio Show on the 11th of March, 2015. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you so much to the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, for doing what he does every single night. Awesome job also today by the Evan Miller Report. Jason and Corey, you guys, as always, nailed it. Thursday, tomorrow being Thursday. And I actually had to check my calendar to double-check that. We do our show every Wednesday night, but I still had to verify that tomorrow was Thursday just in case, like, the Mayans took over the calendar or something.
They may have. It was daylight savings time, so we could have had a bigger shift.
Right? Who knows, right?
Than was accepted.
I
you
am
know.
all screwed up by daylight saving time. Either way,
You're all screwed up anyways,
Yes.
but the daylight savings time even more so.
10 times worse. 10 times worse. Either way, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. on the East, the Evan Miller Report has former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann as their guest. You do not want to miss that show. It's going to be a great, great show, and we're looking forward to it. So much to talk about this evening. None of it we're going to get to. Mostly,
No, we're going to talk baseball.
Well, it's going to be time change in baseball for the next 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
How was your week?
Great.
Yeah? Anything fun and exciting?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Had a cold. It was pretty horrible.
I had a cold.
I woke up last Thursday feeling lousy. So
Yeah,
you
so
and I
thank you for
both
that.
had a cold, and
And we weren't making out, just in case anybody
think-
listening or in the chat room
But
was
who's
curious.
the common denominator that you and I sit in a room with? And he isn't here right now because he's late, as always.
Sacco.
And by the way, he better bring a tardy slip from his teacher
Or some beers
or some beers, one or the
for
other.
us to drink.
So I think Sacco is actually the reason that we got sick.
Bl-
You're right.
Blame Sacco.
Blame Sacco. That's what we do for everything.
That's our new campaign.
Blame Sacco. You guys want to free Sacco? We just want to blame him.
And we do regularly. I miss him when he's not here.
I do too. And
The show starts off just it's incomplete.
it's not as fun.
You're sitting across from me in the director's chair,
I don't even know what
Where
I'm
Sacco
doing over
belongs.
here. Yeah, I'm opping as they say.
and I'm
these
over I'm
days.
over here in personality corner all by myself.
I got a funny email this week.
You did?
Yes.
From a fan?
No, and actually, I wanted to tell you about this on the air.
From somebody who hated us?
I don't know. No. So apparently, there's a company in China who's starting up a media company called SHR Media. That's the English translation.
Really?
So I actually got notified by a Chinese official, and I did my homework. It was, in fact, a Chinese official
Okay.
at their Department of State or whatever, saying, you guys own this web domain and this company. Did you give them permission to use any sort of likeness or anything
And you
like
said
that?
no.
And I didn't remember if we were drinking last week after the show and decided to have fun with people or what. So
Uh-huh.
I just went with no, just
Perfect.
to be safe.
Right.
But just proof that the Chinese are targeting us.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's...
we are so influential that they want to steal that name
so
in order to get people to listen to their propaganda as opposed to our propaganda.
right.
And we make no bones about it. Like, we are an opinion-based show here to fill your head full of our propaganda.
Right.
And things that we deem to be important. Because we know better.
We do.
We're kind of like the Obama administration and the liberals in that sense.
Yeah, well...
Except for we can actually back up what we say, and people agree with us because they know we're right. And we have educated listeners.
I won't repeat the curse word this early in the show because we like to save that for the 9 o'clock hour.
Uh-huh.
But Mary says theirs stands for S-Head Radio. And that's possible, actually.
S-head. I don't.
Manure.
Yeah, I'm so pure that I don't even understand what the connotation would be. Like the driven snow. That's how pure I am. I don't appreciate you laughing at me. Right now.
You know what? I couldn't help myself.
You must have thought of something funny.
I thought
because
of something that was
okay,
not...
because you're not laughing at
Oh, Lord,
that
no,
remark
I wouldn't do
at
that
all.
for you. At all. Ever. Big nose.
That's my new nickname, Driven Snow.
Driven Snow.
By the way.
If you were
That's
born
my stage
of
name.
Native American heritage...
I would
that
be Driven Snow.
That would be your Native American
Right,
name.
or
would
a
be-
stripper.
Oh, right.
If I were a stripper, I would also be Driven Snow.
Driven Snow. Either way, it works for you.
Works out great. And I am a Native
Ladies and gentlemen,
American,
coming
by
to
the
the
way.
main stage is Driven Snow. I saw that on a movie once.
He's not that white. I don't get it. Why is he called Driven Snow? Oh.
Oh, right. Ken's asking already how far and how much.
I don't understand that because I've never been to a strip club.
I have no idea. They charge money?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe Ken could educate us.
I thought it was a painting class.
on that. Well,
You strip the paint off the walls.
Right,
and
and you paint Driven Snow. It's a scene
Ken, if you could write in, just kind of give us a brief description in the chat room, that would be awesome.
of what exactly you're referring to.
Oh, see Congress. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you see the Secret Service got drunk in a party and drove through the
I
White
love
House
this
fence?
story. I love this story. So, it was what, a week ago or last week?
It doesn't matter.
So
the fact that they did it is hilarious.
Ken says it's paint by numbers, 10s and 20s.
Ken, are you a weatherman? Can you make it rain?
Make it rain, baby.
Because if you can make it rain 10s and 20s, we may be able to work something out.
Yeah, I was going to say, our relationship just got better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, last week or a week and a half ago,
March 4th.
March 4th. And the
Yes.
story just came out today that a couple Secret Service agents coming back from a White House event
One of which is a top member of President Obama's protective detail, reportedly.
was, as they say, a little hammered, or where I
Uh-huh.
come from, shattered.
Shh.
Shattered. Dude, I was shattered. You have no idea how shattered I was last night. It was horrible. I woke up in the T station under a bench. There was some bum pushing me in the face. It was horrible. Anyhow, so they come home shattered,
Okay.
and I don't know what led up to it, but apparently they drove a government vehicle into the White House gate.
With a witness that reported the car's overhead flashing lights being activated. And the agents, according to this story on FoxNews.com, showing their badges to get through a section of the grounds that had been closed off. So they're rolling around with their lights activated, their flashy thingies, and hanging their badges out the window.
Here's the best part. They just got a new director, what, a month ago, less than a month ago, after they bounced that broad there. And
Right.
because she couldn't control them. That was the biggest
Right.
concern.
And then they paid
There was-
this guy more money than they were paying
there
her.
was no accountability.
No, I don't know that.
I don't know that either.
I don't. But it'd be funny.
But they were
if
saying
did.
there was no accountability, no inner control,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. So you know there was a meeting at some point. There was a meeting between this guy and everyone who works at the White House who's just like, guys, listen, just give me a couple months. Don't do anything stupid for a couple months. And they're all sitting around the table. You got it, boss.
Yeah, hey, no worries, boss.
What do you have to worry about us? You know, it's not
We're
a big deal.
professionals. We're consummate professionals.
We wouldn't dare do anything.
No, we protect the president.
Oh, there's a party Tuesday? Yeah, I think I'll go.
Oh, no, I'm not going to drive my own car.
No, it's a government car, just in case we get called back to the White House for something bad.
Right.
Flash forward 4 hours. Woo! Coming through.
They didn't say they had their siren activated, just their lights.
That was it's audio, so the lights I had to kind of.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had to
because
draw
if
it
the
up.
siren is on, obviously the lights are activated also.
I don't know that, but what I'm saying is for
But
the
no,
listeners,
for our listeners'
we're a
point of
radio
view,
show. Exactly.
We're trying
There
to
you go.
explain this
There you
to
go.
them.
I'm just trying to be a radio host.
Or you could just paint a picture.
I could paint a picture.
Like you were
with
talking about doing with Driven
with
Snow.
10s and 20s.
Right.
See how it comes right
Either
back?
way.
So I'm so glad everything's been straightened out over there in Secret Service. Mary said, obviously, a 10s and 20s a counterfeit. I don't know-
Otherwise, the Secret Service wouldn't be involved.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah.
No, I see where we're going with
I
this.
see where we're going with this, too.
You know what? Again, proves that we have probably the most intelligent audience that
Right.
can have very smart and intelligent humor. The rest of the morons don't get it. They have no idea why it would be counterfeit. That's not funny to them.
The FBI doesn't know.
Essentially, the FBI doesn't know. We, on the other hand, I think that's a laugh riot. Things are all well and good. Hey, you know what? I'm finally convinced that things at the White House are under wraps. The only thing that would have been better is if they rode like a horse through the fence. Like just something a little bit more ridiculous would have been better for me.
No, I think the company car is perfect.
A government horse taken from like a state park ranger, a federal park ranger, or
Do
something.
they ride horses?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen them when I was out there.
The only thing that could have been better is while doing this, they were hanging their badges out and like firing rounds off into the air.
Have you ever seen? There's a YouTube video out there my friend sent to me, and it's called "Where's the Little Girl?" And the guy, there's
Yes.
this guy in a little like Prius,
Yes.
and he's dunking like biscotti, and there's NPR in the background, and he gets pulled over by a
Yes.
cop, and he gets out of there's like 12 cops there with guns, and they're all, "Where's the little girl?" And they're yelling at him, and he doesn't know, and you can tell he doesn't know.
He's getting upset.
Yeah,
He's like,
he
I don't
drops
know what
his
you're
coffee,
talking about.
And then, where is he? And it's so she. So finally, like, one cop walks up, puts his gun right in his face. He's like, "Where's the little girl?" And the guy starts crying.
I
And
don't
as soon
know.
as the tear rolls down his face, he points to the guy. He's like, "There's the little girl." And they all start laughing, jump in the car, and driving away, shooting their guns. It is the most silly video.
And they're probably based on Secret Service reenactments, is what I'm
Right.
guessing.
Right. That was a Secret Service training.
Right.
How to deal
They
with
took
the-
it real.
How to deal with abductions.
Like somebody showed that in the academy, and they thought it was an actual training video.
Oh, man. Oh, thank God they're the line.
Right.
Now I'm really... This makes me more concerned that Biden is just a heartbeat away. You know, it used to be funny, but now I have actual concern. And I'm not saying these guys can't do their jobs.
So here's the thing: if Biden is a heartbeat away, let's not even go there because I don't want to think about that. But let's talk about this: what if Biden wins the nomination and then wins the presidency?
He's going to be in the car with them crashing through the gate.
Yes, I dare Joe Biden to go on a ride along with Secret Service,
Right along.
get hammered,
Done.
and do donuts on the White House lawn while hanging badges out the window and shooting the gun off in the air.
And we joke about this sometimes, but I'm serious. As horrible as it would be to have Biden as president, like policy-wise,
It would be the best thing for our show.
Every week would be, we would
4
have,
years of material.
Yeah,
right
easily.
there.
That's
we
in
would
the
have
first
to
6
do it.
months.
We would have to do more shows per week just
Yeah.
to keep up.
Absolutely.
Like we would be the Biden show, I think.
Wednesday is who did Joe touch this week, and we cover like which inappropriate touching Biden did, and then
Yeah.
we could have like what's another good one we could have?
Dare Joe Biden would be.
Dare
back
Joe
on
Biden
again.
would be back on. That would be huge.
Yeah.
Curse Tuesdays. Just play sound clips of him cursing. Ken has a good idea for Joe. He should shoot up Hillary's server for an anti-gun ad. I think that would be pretty good.
That would be good.
Man, they're protecting the president. And listen, like you said,
Would it be bad?
One
to
of
do an
these
ad?
guys
Would
was-
it be bad to do an ad with like Hillary Clinton's face and like just Bill Clinton with like this weird look on his face and Joe Biden with this like cockeyed smile or whatever with a balloon above Joe Biden's head that says, "See, Bill, shouldn't have gotten married drunk. Look what you ended up with." Like, would that be bad?
Oh, Mary says that Obama already has enough gaffes himself, and I disagree. See, Biden's gaffes are cheeky and fun.
Right.
Obama's gaffes are sad and pathetic.
Hurtful, yeah. Hurtful
Evil
and
shenanigans. I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
That was a great movie.
That was
an
an
American
awesome movie.
classic. How that did not win an Oscar, I have no idea.
Oh, no.
I would vote for that movie.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, man. Too funny.
I'm a little upset you haven't gotten back to baseball. Like, I've thrown baseball out a couple times.
I have.
and you're
I
letting
have.
it go. You keep.
You
going on
had
this
some guy.
rant.
The A's have some guy pitching this year that's like by something. I don't know.
ambidextrous.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
yeah,
got
no,
that
no,
backwards.
ambidextrous. No, it's not. He's not a San Francisco player.
Oh, right. I got that.
that would
Okay.
be a buy.
Well, I
something.
mean, maybe we don't know.
Maybe no, we don't
can't
know.
confirm.
I'm
We can't
guessing.
confirm.
I don't know. But I mean, I just know that community is big into that movement.
Right.
In some parts. But yeah, so Oakland has an ambidextrous pitcher,
It's pretty cool.
and from what I understand, the rule is you have to declare which arm you're going to pitch with prior to the batter stepping in the box. What a great way to screw with a team.
Yeah, you really want to mess with everyone because anyone who knows baseball players knows that it's all about routine and rhythm, and a lot of them are very superstitious. They do the exact same things repeatedly. So for him to go out there and just before they step in the box declare that he's left-handed or right-handed or whichever way he feels like going that night or that pitch or that at bat is pretty comical. I'm also looking forward. Will Ferrell, who's a pretty funny guy in my opinion, is doing something tomorrow with HBO and his website Funny or Die, where he's going to be at 9. Yeah, he's going to be at 9 spring training games, and the inning by inning, he's going to go to the next one, and he's going to play a different position during that game.
Yes.
And they haven't released exactly why yet, but I'm kind of looking forward to that. I like Will Ferrell. He's just enough of a screwball for me. And
And he's playing for Oakland tomorrow.
He's playing for Oakland tomorrow. And I think that he's a generally funny guy, and he loves sports. He's actually a huge sports fanatic, so it's going to be fun to see what that's all about.
But I'm excited. And this pitcher's glove is bizarre. Like if you
Yeah.
go online and just do a search for Oakland Athletics ambidextrous pitcher glove and do it, it's bizarre. But it's a glove that he can take off and put on either arm, or either hand.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he. If you look at it, it almost looks archaic, but it's kind of cool at the same time. It's got 6 fingers, and it's almost like the Princess Bride.
Right.
He had 6 fingers on his right hand.
The six-fingered man.
Somebody was looking for you.
Pat Venditte is his name, and he came up. He was AAA last year, but he came up through the Yankees organization.
Right. Then he got smart and got out.
Then he got smart, and Oakland picked him up, and so now you can actually like him.
Did you see A-Fraud's back in spring training?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I'm already voting that he's going to be a sub-250 batter and end up on the bench by the end of the season. I think that's exactly where he's going to go with that.
Really?
Yep, absolutely. So it'll be – hear me now. I'm
You're such a
calling it now.
naysayer.
I am such a naysayer. I naysay constantly.
And I don't understand why. It's baseball. See, what are we, 3 weeks away from opening day?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Now, Oakland does play Boston on a Wednesday night, so we may not have a show that
We
night.
may be broadcasting live, slightly intoxicated,
From
the Oakland.
Oakland
How
Coliseum,
awesome
from
would that
Oco.
be?
Yeah.
That might be pretty awesome.
We might need to
Or
open.
pathetic.
We
I don't
We
know.
might need to open talks.
Yeah. It'll be fun. I'm very, very excited for it. Hockey playoffs right around the corner for those of us who are hockey fans. Very excited about that. Basketball still plays occasionally, so that's cool.
Not
It-
really.
My friend, it is time to get to the big board of topics.
It is. So there was what? You just completely congratulating yourself, and nobody can see that. For
I'm going to
coming up
go
with
write
big
board of topics on that right now.
You,
Yes.
you should.
All right.
Actually, no, I'll write it because it's in my handwriting. It'll look like you wrote it with your foot, and it'll just be.
You'd
a
be
mess.
lucky if it looked that
Yeah.
good.
And that's my board. That's like the one board I have. Like you guys have sound boards and everything else, and I just talk into this like scrunchy microphone thingy, put a headset on, and I have a board. Don't take that away from me. Thank you. That's my board. So there was last week at the University of California, Irvine, there was a students group that tried to ban the American flag from campus, and I can't. We touched on it very briefly, and you and I talked about it at length. But there was that was overturned, obviously, and there's actually legislation that some state legislators are looking to introduce that basically would prohibit universities that receive state money from banning the American flag, which is actually a piece of legislation that I would support.
Absolutely, especially
Ridiculous,
in California.
completely ridiculous that it would
Should
even
not need
that
to
it would
exist.
How is that even a discussion point?
Shouldn't need to exist.
Like we have enough laws on the books, period. But the fact that's a law that maybe we need, but how sad is it that we're at a point in our society that that's even something we need to discuss?
No, it's pathetic.
Like honestly, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's horribly heartbreaking.
Ridiculous. But the reason they gave is U.S. nationalism often contributes to racism and xenophobia, and that the paraphernalia of nationalism is in fact often used to intimidate. What? Huh?
What?
What?
Intimidate how?
Yeah, this was a vote on March 3rd, and the Student Government Association voted 6-4 in order to remove the American flag from the campus
Well, they're in
lobby.
college. They must know what they're
Two
doing.
abstained, so I want to know who those two cowards are that
Right.
don't even have the fortitude to
At least to pick your
to
side.
take a stand. And again, it's for cultural inclusivity.
Huh?
You know, cultural inclusivity.
Well, listen,
It's
this is also
it's
the state
awesome.
where if you wear an American flag on Cinco de Mayo, on Cesar Chavez Day or Cinco de Mayo, I forget which one it is, you can get kicked out of school for it.
Right.
So it's not shocking to me. This is also the state where there was a conservative group trying to collect signatures, and I want to say that was at one of the state schools down in the valley here somewhere.
Well, here's the thing. So there was a letter that came out in support of these students and their efforts to ban the flag, and there were some university professors that signed this letter that showed their solidarity with the students who tried to ban the flag. So we have college
What
professors.
did Professor Goebbels say?
Yeah, there are college professors saying that this is a good idea and that the flag symbolizes racism and should not be displayed on campus. Well, what? Yeah.
Why is the flag racist? It's red, white, and blue. It's 3 colors on one flag.
No, it's racist. These professors know more than you, Sean. They're professors. What part of this don't you understand? So this got me thinking, which is always a very dangerous proposition. How many college professors are anti-American? And I'm not even talking left-wing politically, but I'm talking like outright Marxist or even communist. And what are the kind of some of the ramifications of that? And I found a study, and the study is from April of 2012, and it was prepared by the National Association of Scholars, called "The Corrupting Effect of Political Activism in the University of California." And what was interesting about it is this was a report that was prepared for the regents of the University of California by the California Association of Scholars. And you can pull the report up online. It's very interesting. I recommend it. But what this report showed is that there are several professors, and it goes through the specific breakdown of the extremists and the kind of the breakdown of the left-leaning versus right-leaning professors, and actually gives percentages. But what this one report found, and it's on page 28 as you're looking at it, is that 25% of sociology professors in the social science degrees, they self-identify as Marxist.
I'm sorry, how many?
25% self-identify as Marxist. So almost 1 in 5 professors in the cultural science classes, so almost 1 in 4 identifies as a Marxist. It says a figure that rises to 25% in sociology, which is, I'm quoting from the study here, striking as these figures are, they're almost clearly understated. As we have seen, self-identification in political matters is highly unreliable, but that will be especially true with a word such as Marxist, which does not play well with the general public. Now, a quick search on Marxist, University of California professors Marxist, there was a name, Paul Thomas, that came up right away, who is at University of California, Berkeley. Bizarre, right?
Weird.
Yeah, weird. Political science professor who's written numerous books and writings on Marxism and scientific socialism and all these other things.
So he must know why it's all horrible then.
I would assume.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I would assume. I don't know. I haven't talked to the man, but his writings are interested. But it's just a brief search, and literally that quick you come up with a name. But the study is interesting, and it got me thinking, wow, Marxism is in direct conflict with the principles outlined in the United States Constitution, is it not?
Correct.
I mean, particularly the Bill of Rights and all of the things that we...
Essentially anything that has freedom involved.
Right, and anything
Kinda
that we
goes
hold
against it.
that we value as Americans, particularly liberty-loving Americans. Direct conflict. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with
I
that.
would. I would think that if you self-identify as a Marxist, and that is seeping over into the classroom, which we know it does.
Of course it does.
That is absolutely anti-American, anti-Constitution. Well, I found something interesting. There's a form, and it's called the University of California State Oath of Allegiance, Patent Policy and Patent Acknowledgement. And I think professors are employees, are they not?
Last time I checked.
I think UC professors are employees, and if that's the case, then they're required to sign an oath of allegiance.
Yes.
And take the oath of allegiance. And here's what the state oath of allegiance is. It says, I do, and I'm reading, I found this form online again, through the UCNet, University of California.edu site. So it's right from the UC site. It says, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's interesting, because if you are a self-avowed Marxist, and if that is in fact seeping over into the classroom, which we know it does, and the report supports that, the report I just quoted from, and it's like a 81-page report or something like that, then how are they in fact supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States of America? I would argue that they are not. They cannot. But what's interesting is there's a penalty phase of that. And under penalties on this form, it quotes California Government Code Section 3108, which says every person who, while taking and subscribing to the oath or affirmation required by this chapter, states as true any material which he knows to be false is guilty of perjury and is punishable by imprisonment in the state prison not less than 1 or more than 14 years. It's a felony. So if a professor is Marxist, they know they're Marxist, they know they have an agenda and that they're going to push that in the classroom, and they sign this oath of allegiance. Are they potentially in violation of that? Are they guilty of a felony, perhaps? And if that's the case, why is nobody investigating this further? We potentially...
Well, we don't want to bother them because they're Marxists, the poor guys.
We potentially... And I don't know, I would have to actually investigate and delve into this a lot further than I have, but on its surface it seems like a case may be able, or at least a straight-faced argument could be made that they are violating their oath.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Right? I think...
at least from the information that you've just provided, I think you're 100% correct.
I think that case could be made, or
Easily.
at least looked at, and perhaps there's some weird exception or something in there that allows them to be
but how,
Marxist.
When it comes to the...
Now, we're just talking strictly on this one issue, and I know this segment's almost up. We have 1:50 left. But we're not even touching on the social ramifications that are involved in this. For example, in that report, it also talks about how most college graduates can't even answer basic questions about United States history or world history.
Right. Most of them couldn't pass a citizenship test.
Right. So we're not even talking about the ramifications about what that means for our country larger scale in terms of the group of students that are being brought up and indoctrinated into this ridiculous philosophy, right? Or this particular philosophy. We're simply talking about the fact that these professors operate and infuse their Marxist diatribe in some of these classes to the students. Meanwhile, they're required, I believe, if they are in fact employees of the University of California, they're required, I believe, to sign this oath of allegiance and to take this oath of allegiance.
I have the new pep song for UC Irvine.
Again, I don't know. I could be wrong. Professors may be exempt from this. I couldn't find anything saying that.
Why
they
should
were.
they be exempt though? Why?
They
At any
shouldn't
point,
be.
why? So I think that
They shouldn't be. But if they are not exempt, then I think somebody should look into this. Now, I'm sure Kamala Harris will be all over this.
Oh goodness,
I'm
yeah.
sure an investigation or at least a probe will be
Dude, she's
looked
the
at.
Attorney General. When was the last time the Attorney General just looked the other way on certain things?
Right now, I can't think. Well,
Name one Attorney General that looked...
Holder.
Okay. Well, that was an easy one, though. I mean, you cheated.
How did I cheat?
I'm
You
just
asked a
saying
question.
you
I
cheated.
answered
No,
that
no, no.
question.
You used Google or something. I know you did. I have the new rally song for UC Irvine.
Go. I knew it.
Go get him, Irvine! I wonder if there are bread lines in the cafeteria at UC Irvine.
Not yet. Not yet, but there may be. That may be coming. That may be coming next.
You want to live like a socialist Marxist? Let's do it.
Right. Right.
Most of you is already getting free school anyhow, right? Unfreaking believable.
We're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this whole Clinton email debacle.
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
You can't
Hold
get
on.
into it right now. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it in 3 here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
I'm Jason. Coming up on Thursday,
The Volga Boatman.
former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann and ask her why both the GOP-controlled House and Senate can't get anything done in Washington, D.C. Those questions amp the day's news on the Evan Miller Report at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, here on SHR Media. You can also listen on the iHeartRadio app.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians. You got a business. You didn't build that. A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean. Dude, I'm not saying capitalist. Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Saki as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific from me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
And welcome back here to the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, with Sacco not here, all the tech stuff falls onto me. And I don't realize till after I screwed up that I screwed up. But it's not a big deal. Kind of is. But so I apologize for that minute and a half of silence.
Really?
Well, it's Sacco's fault. I mean, really, it's Sacco's fault. If he was here, I wouldn't even have to worry about it.
You don't worry about it anyways, as evidenced by the fact that you screwed it up. If you were worried about it, like, you would have been locked on.
Just on the last story before we jump real quick, a guest in the
You
chat
closed
room.
the door on it.
I'm just going to add this real quick.
Oh, okay. So
'cause
open the door
It
again.
goes back to your. I don't have an open door.
It's closed, but in reverse. Play backwards.
Nope, I can't. It says too much like the Beatles.
Okay. Okay, so the door's open now.
Okay, real quick, I'll open it. Investigator, who is a guest in the chat room, says, by the way, in 2008, California State University East Bay fired Marianne Brown, who is, by religion, a Quaker, for refusing to take her oath without inserting a reservation that her defense of state and country would be done non-violently. So there's a precedent set on the oath, and it'd be interesting to see if they follow through on that. All right, let me do this. Okay, and then let's go down to the Hillary email door, and there it is. All right, I'm on it tonight. I am just dialed.
You nailed that. All 5 times, or however many times it was.
We all have work email here, right?
Yeah.
And we use that work email fairly regularly between the three of us.
Right, yeah, for work.
For work. For show stuff, anything to do with the network, the show, whatsoever, we go back and forth and
Correct.
use it. We actually prefer to use it. It's not a rule with us, but we prefer to use it just because it's our server, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the Secretary of State has I would say that her emails would probably be considered a little bit more classified than ours. Just slightly.
Or important.
Or important. Well,
yeah.
We're kind of a big deal.
We are. I apologize. I don't know what I was thinking.
Chad, out of
I'm
your
sorry.
end. Anyhow, so either way, you would think that if she's going to email things about what's going on with the Department of State and our country and secrets and all that other stuff.
No, yeah, she would obviously use the .gov address.
Right, because you would think that they would have very, very high security
Right.
standards, filtering systems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And we know that you can't lose an email with that. We've learned that with Lois Lerner.
Right.
So it's
Even if you
100%.
try.
Even if you try, it
You
won't
can
go
try
away.
hard, it will not go away.
So, and then the revelation came out that Hillary hasn't been was not using her government assigned email as her time as Secretary of State, which is just insane to me.
Well, I know why.
Okay.
Because Hillary Clinton, and this is why perhaps conservatives should consider endorsing Hillary Clinton. Follow me on this.
Oh.
So Hillary Clinton did not use her government email because she believes in the free market. She understands that the private sector could do it better, probably safer, and be more cost-effective than at taxpayer expense, and have some government-run server, some government hack in there, just willy-nilly all in the email system, and doing their thing when she could use a private entity, whether herself or her organization or a third party, to maintain that server in order to expand the free market, give
Are
jobs,
you saying this with a straight face
and
right now?
keep government out of the way. Why are conservatives having such a hard time with
Because
this?
she is government.
Don't use this people have a right to know garbage on me. You're having a completely different argument than I'm having right now.
Well-
You can't have a people have a right to know argument when I'm having a free market argument. The two are clearly in conflict. So she is having a conservative side to this whole ordeal. People just fail to recognize it. Instead of embracing that.
Or she wants to be able to say things that won't pop flags on the government server. It's one or the other.
It's one or the other.
I don't know which one it is.
But without being in her head, we can't rule out the free market idea.
Listen, I can, and I will. I will absolutely, and just forget it. I'm ruling that out. Back in 2009, rule was set in place that all government officials will use their government-assigned email for government business based on their assignment, which is weird because it was passed. Well, who's in the White House in 2009?
2009?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Da, 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 da,
Guess who just came in and then ran back out the door when we...
Wow.
Sackhead Sacco.
40 minutes into the show,
In the house.
Sacco makes his appearance. Woo! I'm glad you could find the place.
All right, you guys can go live now.
Thank you, Sacco. So, this president... And wait, who was Secretary of State in 2009?
Winston Churchill.
Good call.
Thanks.
And it was President Obama. So either way, it's kind of weird. So she chose not to do it. The president, by the way, and I'm going to get to her. She answered some questions yesterday. It was, but
I'm sure she was consistent.
Very, very consistent.
Yeah, no, she was very consistent.
But I want to first of all, I want to talk about the president. And folks, I'm going to talk about again. He's either a bumbling fool.
Nope.
Completely connected to what he wants to accomplish and
Yep.
only does things that suits him.
I'm going to go with that one.
Or just the most narcissistic and out of touch.
I'm going to go with that one, too.
So it can't be 2 and 3. It could be 2 or 3. Two and 3 together,
Why
he's
not?
not out of touch. He knows exactly what's going on.
He is. But he is narcissistic.
But he wanted to weigh in, and this was on ABC, and he wanted to weigh in on the emails.
President, when did you first learn that Hillary Clinton used the email system outside the U.S. government for official business while she was Secretary of State?
At the same time, everybody else learned it through news reports.
Were you disappointed?
Let me just say that...
Is there anything this president finds out from his own people?
No. Look, he's a news guy, okay? He likes to follow the news. At least he's following the news, Sean. Why can't you give this guy credit for anything?
Wow, how? Nothing. Oh,
I know.
Sorry, Sacco, I have you off. I don't...
It's not the first time.
Yeah, I know.
Quick, turn them on. You know how to turn them on. Turn them on.
No, remember we sent the alpaca out?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Here's the rest of his clip.
Outstanding public servant. She was a great Secretary of State for me. The policy of my administration is to encourage transparency, and that's why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available and archived. And I'm glad that Hillary is instructed that those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
Well, you say that you have the most transparent administration ever. You said it again just a couple of weeks ago.
It's
but
true.
How does this square with that?
Well, I think that the fact that she's going to be putting them forward will allow us to make sure that people have the information.
Okay, Mr. President, a couple quick questions. You keep saying how transparent you are. We're talking about Hillary, the Secretary of State. I'm going to go to Benghazi real quick. It's kind of relevant right now. If you're so goddamn transparent,
right,
why don't you have all the witnesses there come out and testify? If you're such for transparency, you lying little weasel, and I'm just to that point with him, then why don't you have everyone in the Brian Terry case testify? Or how about Lois Lerner and all of that? Why weren't those given? I cannot take his...
Well, he finds out about everything on the news, Sean.
I digress. This segment is not about the president specifically. It's about Hillary. Now...
Well, no, I think you misspoke. Hillary, right?
Yeah, that's what I said, Hillary.
Okay.
Okay.
No, Hillary.
That's what I said.
There's no K
Hillary.
in front of it.
Oh,
Hillary.
How do you pronounce it?
No, yeah, no. The H does not sounded like a. Yeah, it's not German.
Hill.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Hurry.
So Hillary was using her private server that only she has access to for her emails.
Private sector.
Private sector. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this is so she can email all sorts of bad things without it popping up on a government server because it would not be subject to the Freedom of Information Act, which we found out. Well, exactly. We found out it's not subject to the Freedom of Information Act. And now the AP is suing the State Department to have everything on that server released. Now, my first hope is that there's no nudes, no selfie nudes of her. I don't want to see her do a Anthony Weiner. I'm sure that's not the case.
What about if she did another kind of wiener?
My
No, family name.
Right. John,
yeah,
or
like
David
John or
Weiner,
Dave
right,
Weiner.
one of the cousins.
Yeah,
No, I
something.
get you. Come on, Sacco.
I don't know. Sacco, get your head out of the gutter. Come on.
Dude, you can't punch that desk, Sacco.
Yeah.
Okay, no more.
Second of all is, and listen, we've lived with the Clintons now since the 90s. In one way, shape, or form, they have been out in our lives since the 90s. We know that she is, and if you read a lot of stories out there, they are political assassins. They are completely tactical in how they approach things and tear people down and build people up, and it's all out there. You know as well as I do that she wanted to be able to keep all of that stuff away from the public eye because she planned on running for president.
Of course.
So she, including stuff that she wrote in the State Department, I guarantee you there's negative things about the president on that server. I guarantee it. I guarantee you that there are things that she wrote on there that if it was released to the general public, the ones that support her would be shocked and awed that what a vile human being she is. And it doesn't take a lot to people who worked around her that have written, she is a vile and mean human being. Now, worry about number 3, if you will, in all of this, the criminal charges. She's in direct violation of that Act of 2009. We have General Petraeus, as we talked about last week, who is essentially being prosecuted for almost the exact same thing. Inappropriate handling of classified documents, which he took a deal on.
Right.
And he pled guilty. I would submit that based on that, and it's on the same standard, that she should be prosecuted for that exact same crime.
You know, I think one of her most ridiculous arguments that she said that it was for convenience. She chose to use the personal email specifically. That way she could carry only one device, and that she wanted it for convenience. She didn't want to have one device for work and one device for personal.
I do.
But, well, here's what's interesting. Trey Gowdy made a great point. And I look at my own phone and yours as well. We have 2 different emails linked up on one device. Each one of us on our devices have our SHR email and a secondary email as well. So if it's really for convenience, why didn't she just link up her .gov email and her personal
now
email
becomes subject to freedom of
You mean to tell me she
information.
wouldn't have a government phone, a BlackBerry? The president has a BlackBerry. I'm pretty sure the Secretary of State has a BlackBerry or some other
government official.
Right,
but now if her personal emails, and now this is a woman who is trying to get elected, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but if just on the device, I don't think they would get those personal
I think
emails.
that you could actually submit that the Freedom of Information Act may apply. Because why does she have, because I'm sure there's something that you're not allowed to use, personal emails on a government phone.
Okay. Set up I don't know that. Do you know that?
I bet you if you deal with I would almost bet money, because I think I've read it before. If your phone or content deals with classified information, you have to use a government approved phone, because you know they wipe it and all that other stuff.
Okay, but my point is she could still access her personal email account through
Or
that.
she could just carry 2 phones, like a human being who has a job that requires her to carry 2 phones.
But if she didn't want to, she could
But
set up.
nobody put a gun to her head and said you're going to be Secretary of State.
Right, but she could set up 2 accounts on one
She
phone.
could set up 2,000 accounts.
Yes.
But she's the damn Secretary of State, and the job requires you to have a government BlackBerry and a government ID. Or email. I'm sure an ID, too. I was right.
Right. Oh, you were right.
Stop arguing with me about the ID thing, would you?
I'm sorry. It slipped my mind for a moment. I don't know what I was thinking. Why would she have an ID? Everybody knows who she is.
But she voluntarily became Secretary of State. That's part of the position.
She was forced into it.
She was. She was forced into it.
She was forced because if she wasn't, she would have been irrelevant and not been able to run.
But, okay, so politically she was forced into it. Reality was she still could have said no. I'm just saying. I don't think. And listen, if she opted out because she had to work around Joe, I totally get that too. But you can't tell me that she knows for a fact that all of those emails should have been on a government
Of
email
course she knew
system.
because she issued a directive requiring
Ah.
her employees to use the government email system.
She did.
And the other issue with this is she is dictating which emails to disclose. Oh, yeah, I'm going to turn over everything. How do we know?
Right.
How do we know you turned over everything? How do we know you didn't delete certain things?
Right. How do we know that you didn't accidentally use or accidentally include somebody in your mailing list into one of the CCs that wasn't part of the government or wasn't part of the classified circle? We have to now know if any government secrets were accidentally omitted to any person in your contacts list. I've sent texts to the wrong people. Have you ever done that? Or emails?
Yeah.
You know, where you, especially autofill on, you know, if you use any sort of email system, it autofills.
Okay, first of all, look at me. Do I look like somebody that emails a lot?
I'm not going to, I was talking to the people in general.
Or
not
text
you.
a lot?
Not you.
Or, okay.
Your computer has one big button in the middle you can punch.
Right, and it does whatever my mind says it to do because Sacco rigged it like that for me.
Right, and as Ag says, accidentally hits a reply all. Ken says his Obama phone has 2 accounts on it. Shaquita at
Does Ken have a BlackBerry?
welfareoffice.com and ReggieLove at obama.gov. So
okay.
I don't know. I guess it's possible. But and then my last question, it kind of goes back to the president on this one. You've emailed her, right? You must have, as president, sent an email to the Secretary of State.
Maybe, but he really didn't pay attention, right?
But at some point, you have to kind of... I always kind of glance when I'm sending emails back through it to make sure that I've included information, CC the right people, etc. And if everyone else's little name ends in .gov and hers ends at Clinton.com, doesn't that seem... You think that would raise a flag. Now, listen, I'm sure it's a Microsoft Word computer and he's used to using his BlackBerry, so he doesn't quite know how it works, etc., etc. But don't you think the president should know when he's emailing, and I would submit that probably their correspondence is extremely classified on some levels, that why didn't the IT department at the White House start flagging it, saying, hey, you're sending this to an outside email address that's not within our security system. Are you sure you want to send this? Or, hey, Mr. President, just so you know, when you were talking about Benghazi and you know how you lied and said that we're going to frame this as a YouTube video, yeah, that went to a non.gov email. You know, it's kind of crazy to me that this was allowed to happen, especially with the most transparent government on the face of the planet.
Right.
And all this does now is this protects her so much more, and she's picking and choosing the emails. If you don't think that the left machine operates 24/7, 365, and does whatever it possibly can to try to stop or pick up the right, or put down the left and pick up the right and move their agenda as much as humanly possible, you're insane. Look at everything that's happened with this administration. All the way through this email debacle. The president doesn't know, and then when he does know, he knows about things like the Bin Laden raid. He was all over that. He knew 100% what's going on there.
He was in the room.
Doesn't know
he
about
pulled the trigger.
Fast and the Furious. Doesn't know about Lois Lerner. Found out about it on the
All
news.
the news.
Hillary, same thing. It's on the news.
It's on the news.
Et cetera,
no idea.
et cetera.
I didn't even watch Netanyahu. I don't even know. Did he talk? I don't
even know who he is.
Happening.
It's one of those things to me. If you don't think that this is part of a bigger machine, and this wasn't an architecture at the beginning, hey, you keep your emails over here because of X, Y, and Z, and we can use this later and block this later, blah, 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 blah. You're crazy. You can call me a conspiracy theorist. You can call me whatever you want. But all of these debates and debacles and scandals that keep coming up under this president, it's not the right. I mean, this one was done by the New York Times. It's not the right that's pushing this agenda. Yeah, we jump on it because it's a big deal. But this is strictly an out-of-control government run by the left, the radical left, not even the old blue dog Democrats. This is run by a government on the radical left who's controlling information. They dodged the Freedom of Information Act. They knew that was coming, so they had her put everything on a separate email because they don't want it to screw up her chances at running for president. All of this was done with architecture. It was done by somebody who picked and chose which rules and laws certain people would follow and which ones they wouldn't. And it's an embarrassment to us as a nation. How do you, I can't believe, I just can't believe that the leader of the free world, if you will,
had no idea what was going on in his own.
had no idea what's going on down the hall. You know,
I believe it.
Other than like, other than him knowing that like Biden's running through on like a pogo stick and a pair of draws, chasing around like, you know, a couple Playboy bunnies, he has no clue what's going on. And that's only because Biden came through the Oval Office on the pogo stick. You know, he just didn't have a choice on that one.
Right. Right. But he would know exactly how many playmates were in the mansion, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Right.
Well, that's because he'd see that on
he'd hear
Joe's
about
Facebook.
it on the news.
He'd see that on Joe's Facebook. And now, and I submit too, and I've said this a couple times, the left is going after her, and the Times is going after her, and Ken talked about this in the chat room a second ago. You know, they don't want Hillary because as much as I dislike Hillary, they can't control Hillary. They can't feed information to Hillary. Hillary's going to do what Hillary wants to do. Listen, you read the I think it's now the 35 Bodies of Hillary Clinton, written by our friend Tammy J. Hillary does what Hillary wants to do, and nobody's really in control of her. Certainly not Bill. Certainly not Hillary. I think there's sometimes that she doesn't even know what she's doing. But now, you know, what's the ultimate goal? I think the radical left is actually going to go after Hillary real soon and try to get her out of the way. They want to do it fast. They want to do it quick because they don't want it to be a long, drawn-out fight because they want to push Warren up to the front of the list. They want Elizabeth Warren to run. And listen, they're going to play her out as a unwilling candidate, somebody who's only doing it to serve her people.
That she's part of the established.
Yep, and you're
big money
going to see her.
machine.
Oh yeah, you know, she's just an outsider. She's only been in government for a few years, and she's going to do things differently. Unwilling candidate. Who else was an unwilling candidate that became president? Oh, right, George Washington, who did it because he was called to service versus wanting to do it. They're going to, and you watch how many times they're going to run that ad and keep those two next to each other. I think the Hillary email thing being investigated and pushed by the left is done for an political assassination plot, and you're going to see it be the undoing of Hillary Clinton. I guarantee you. I think this will be the one that gets it done. I don't even think it'll get as far as the Benghazi hearings. I really don't.
You don't think so?
Nope. I think that she's going to end. I think in the next 2 weeks, because I think the AP's lawsuit against the State Department is going to be upheld. It's going to go to a federal judge who's going to say right away, nope, release them. You have to release them, Freedom of Information Act. If there's anything on that server that involves the government, it becomes property of the Freedom of Information Act if it's official government business.
Right.
And I think it's all going to get released, and you're going to see things in her email that is just going to destroy her character. And I think that's the end and the ultimate goal of the left. I think the Times was fed this by a White House insider to chase this, and that's exactly what they did.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You think
All right,
charges
go
will be
home.
filed?
I think charges will be filed.
Against Hillary?
Against Hillary.
So will it be politically motivated? Will
Yes.
charges be filed because they deserve to
just
be
as
filed? Or will charges be filed because they want her out of the way for Warren?
Both. I think it should be filed. I think it'll legally be able to be filed. I think they'll use the same precedents as Petraeus. Investigator in the chat room saying that she's already deleted those emails. I guarantee you, as we
They can
learned with
recover.
Lois Lerner, I don't care what she does to it. They're going to be recovered at some point. I'll tell you right now, I think you're going to see a fast unravel of Hillary Clinton's campaign. I really do. She'll hang in there, but they're going to sour her to her own voters to push her towards Elizabeth Warren.
There's no doubt that the left is going to want Elizabeth Warren to run. I'm really curious to see if Hillary can survive this, politically speaking. I don't know if she can.
The Clintons are political survivors.
They are, and there are people out there defending them.
Lanny
on
Davis.
This. Yeah.
Lanny Davis on Fox this past weekend. Oh, she didn't do anything illegal. And I forget who the Fox News anchor was. I think it was It doesn't matter.
Megyn Kelly?
No, it was Chris the weekend. I can't even think of his name right now. But he was saying, no, I'm going to tell you exactly which laws she's in violation from. He's like, that's yet to be determined. So, they're absolutely, they're already in mode, and they're sending out their number one defender, Lanny Davis, who's defending them through Whitewater and everything else. Yes, Hillary's an Alinsky student, but she's not radical enough for them. And she's pretty radical, but she's uncontrollable. And I think that, like I said, they're just going to absolutely tear her apart with this.
We're up against a break, my friend.
We are.
Wait, before you go into a break, because I missed General Jackassery, I want to just point out that I don't think Sean loves me. Because I posted a couple of videos. Nope, I don't care. I posted a couple of videos like 4 months ago, and he didn't know about them till today. And then he has the audacity to text me and tell me, "Hey, I didn't know you had these videos up here. How come you never told me?"
Hey, you know what's funny? Did you know Sacco starred in a web series?
No.
Sacco's brother is a movie producer and created a web series. This is not a joke.
Allegedly.
It's called The Ruins on YouTube. And Sacco is the lead. Did you know about this?
No.
I didn't know about this.
Both of you guys.
Right?
We're not friends anymore.
Hang on a second. Do I do anything online?
Anything.
Really?
I expect you guys to.
Do I check any? Why would I go to YouTube and check the
Clint,
Ruins?
I don't hold that against you.
Thank
Sean,
you.
I do.
Thank you.
Dude, are
Sean,
you
you should
kidding me?
know better. You are a technological savant. Idiot. Well, idiot.
Okay.
You got a business. You didn't build that. A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific from me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
I'm Jason Miller, coming up on Thursday's Evan Miller Report. I will be interviewing former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann and ask her why both the GOP-controlled House and Senate can't get anything done in Washington, D.C. Those questions and the day's news on the Evan Miller Report at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, here on SHR Media. You can also listen on the iHeartRadio app.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us on the second hour of the amazing show that is the Sackheads Radio Show, internationally acclaimed, because I got an email by a guy in Finland one time that said he likes the show. So
and Japan.
And Japan. But he's an American in Japan.
But he's still,
our
it's
good
still
friend
in
Maureen.
Japan. He's
Absolutely.
big in Japan.
He is huge in Japan. Oh, man. So, GOP letter to Iran. That's an interesting switch, huh?
No.
What do you mean, no?
I mean, no. It's not interesting at all. So yeah, the GOP sent an email to, or not an email. They sent a letter to Iran, basically saying, yeah, hey, any agreement that you come up with, it's really not going to be any good because it can be changed at any time.
Really?
In essence.
I wish that was the
And
exact,
I don't know
I
if-
wish that was the exact wording, actually. I think that would be awesome.
I don't know if it's like a slap at the Obama administration, or if it's really an educational outreach to the government of Iran. Nor do I care.
Right.
Either way, it's great. There were 47 senators that signed this letter, and basically it says, hey, any nuclear deal that is made requires congressional approval.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, basically, we hope, they close it by saying, we hope this letter enriches your knowledge of our constitutional system.
Well, they don't
Promotes
have one.
Mutual understanding. They have zero understanding of,
And they
of our
don't.
Constitution.
They essentially they're ruled in a hierarchy. So, they we have Valerie Jarrett. They have what's the
Mohammed.
Supreme Leader's their name there, and then they have a fake president. We kind of have a fake president. So
yeah.
I guess they do understand our form of government a lot better than we give them credit for. But listen, I think it's funny that they write this letter because obviously this letter was more to our president than it was to Iran. Like, Iran could care less about it. But it really goes to show you how much the president dislikes Congress and the fact that he has to play by the rules. He doesn't understand separation of powers. He doesn't understand his authority and where it ends. He keeps pushing a nuclear deal that everybody in the free world is saying is a horrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. It's not just Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm. Have you read the letter?
I haven't read it in full.
So it's basically dated March 9th. It's called an open letter to the leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's very easy, and all it does is it literally lays out the legal requirements for ratification of a treaty.
Oh.
That's all it does. It's like 4 paragraphs.
They should teach that in our country.
They should, which is probably why people are freaking out. I'll read it. It's an open letter to the leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. It has come to our attention while observing your nuclear negotiations with our government that you may not fully understand our constitutional system. Thus, we are writing to bring to your attention 2 features of our Constitution: the power to make binding international agreements and the different character of federal offices, which you should seriously consider as negotiations progress. And then it proceeds to educate the people about our system of government. First, under our Constitution, while the President negotiates international agreements, Congress plays the significant role of ratifying them. In the case of a treaty, the Senate must ratify it by 2/3 vote. A so-called congressional executive agreement requires a majority vote in both the House and the Senate. which, because of procedural rules, effectively means 3/5 vote in the Senate. Anything not approved by Congress is a mere executive agreement. Says second, the offices of our Constitution have different characteristics. For example, the president may serve only 2 4-year terms, whereas senators may serve an unlimited number of 6-year terms. We should change that. That's my note, not theirs. As applied today, for instance, President Obama would leave office January 2017, while most of us will remain in office well beyond then, perhaps decades. Again, we should change that. What these two constitutional provisions mean is that we will consider any agreement regarding your nuclear weapons program that is not approved by the Congress as nothing more than an executive agreement between President Obama and Ayatollah Khamenei. The next president could revoke such an executive agreement with the stroke of a pen. Future Congresses could modify the terms of the agreement at any time. We hope this letter enriches your knowledge of our constitutional system and promotes mutual understanding and clarity
The more
as
you know.
nuclear negotiations progress.
Where's Brian Williams with the more you know right now?
Right?
That would be great.
And what they're talking about specifically here is Article 2, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, where it talks about the president shall have the power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of senators present concur. So he not only has the power to do it, but it says by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. So how many senators
have been
are involved in these negotiations?
Democrats, I'm sure a lot.
No, it's Kerry, right? Kerry's not a current U.S. senator. He's the Secretary of State.
Well, technically in name, yeah, he is.
Are they getting advice on this from certain senators? Perhaps they are, but are they getting it from...
Are they seeking it or are they getting it? Because sometimes that's very different.
But either way, right? Are they getting it from the Senate in an official capacity or for individual senators?
Right.
Because the Constitution seems clear. It says with the advice and consent of the Senate, not individual senators, but the Senate as a body. Because then it goes on, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. So talking about specific senators in that case. So has the president gone before the Senate to solicit advice from that body of government? I don't think so.
No, I would say no.
And the next question is this agreement, they keep calling it an agreement, but would it be a treaty?
Yes.
Or is it just an agreement? Well, let's look at the definition of treaty. Because this administration still says we're reaching an agreement. Right? They won't say treaty, but they say agreement. Well, here's how dictionary.com defines treaty. It says a formal agreement, there's that word. A formal agreement between two or more states in reference to peace, alliance, commerce, or other international relations. 2, the formal document embodying such an international agreement. So if something's written up and it's signed, that would meet the definition of a treaty.
I would think so.
Number 3, any agreement or compact. So even if there's an agreement made, it would still meet the definition of treaty and would therefore, in order for it to be valid, would require the consent of the Senate. It seems pretty straightforward. Now, I'm not some big Harvard law school graduate, professor, attorney type guy, right? I'm just a simple radio guy.
Attorney type guy.
Yeah, I'm a simple, non-educated charlatan of a radio.
Quite a charlatan.
Host.
Quite a charlatan.
Because that's my nickname, Charlotte.
Right.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought you were laughing at my name for some reason. It seems pretty straightforward. People are angry that they sent this letter. And there are some that think that it could hurt the Republicans in the long term or politically. How? I read the letter to you verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
It's very straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open letter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not degrading, I don't think, in tone or in nature. And it lays out very clearly what their legal requirements are under the law. Because, quite frankly, the Iranian people are probably not aware. The leaders of Iran are not aware of what our system is or what is required to have a legally binding agreement. I would think that's good information for them to have.
Or at least throw it around the table a little bit.
Right? Hey, so we actually read their constitution because we could pull it up online, and these guys are right, the President Obama can't, or the Secretary of State can't negotiate this.
They don't care.
But I'm saying if they're serious about a deal, they would care.
Right, I agree.
Right?
If
They were serious about a deal, or if they were going to abide by this deal, I would think the leaders of Iran would say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, we're serious about working with you guys. Like, we want a real deal. So let's bring the Senate in, and let's make sure this is done legally.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure this is done right. But if they don't care because they're going to violate it anyways, it doesn't matter if the deal is legal or not legal. And so it actually speaks volumes to me that they don't care.
Yeah.
Or that it's being dismissed.
I agree.
And the funny thing is, I saw an interview, and I think it was Megyn Kelly, and I forget who she was speaking with on her show, but she asked whoever she was interviewing, is this a treaty? And he wouldn't answer the question. He said, well, it's an agreement. No, is this a treaty? And she tried to pin him down, and he wouldn't answer. And I want to say the guy, and I wish I could remember who it was right now, but I can't off the top of my head. But even Republicans are having a hard time calling it what it is, a treaty. Look, you don't have to be some whiz-bang college graduate, right?
Whiz-bang.
Yeah, in your bow tie and your knickers, with your book belt.
When you're playing the stick and hoop game.
Right. Going along on your velocipede to get to classes. Gotta look that one up.
Have fun.
It's awesome. But it's very straightforward. It's not difficult to see this, and how this administration could, with a straight face, believe that they could enter into an agreement with a foreign country and have it be valid as a binding treaty just shows the arrogance.
They don't care either.
They don't care, and that's my point. It's lawless.
Well, and Biden said in a letter today that this letter, the Republican letter, was beneath the dignity of an institution I revere.
Really? So it's beneath the dignity of an institution to educate a foreign nation in which we are in negotiations with for a treaty to educate them as to how the process works,
and it's
so
kind
that
of an
the treaty
important
could
treaty.
be legal.
Or
right.
it's kind of an important topic.
Or is
nuclear weapons.
Or is it beneath the dignity of the body he holds so dear because they're actually exercising their constitutional authority and a check on an out-of-control executive?
Mm-hmm.
So which one is it? You revere this body so much, don't you revere the Constitution?
Well, no, he just meant the body. And come to think about it, he may not have been talking about the Congress at all. Now that he's talking about the body he reveres. Could have been totally back to the whole pogo stick incident earlier. He went on to say, in 36 years in the United States Senate, way too long, I cannot recall another instance in which senators wrote directly to advise another country, much less a longtime foreign adversary, that the president does not have the constitutional authority to reach a meaningful understanding with them.
He doesn't have the authority to reach a binding treaty with them or an agreement.
Right.
He does not have the authority to reach an agreement with them. And this letter, nowhere does it say that they don't have the authority to reach an understanding, right? I understand you guys are crazy and are going to try and kill a bunch of people with this weapon.
Our allies, our friends.
Right.
Right.
But I don't understand what...
Well, Josh Earnest understands.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
He wrote a letter that essentially said, this Republican letter was a continuation of the partisan strategy to undermine the president's ability to conduct foreign policy and advance our national security interests around the globe. Because if there's one thing Republicans notoriously do is hamper our national security interests. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. First of all, this doesn't say the president can't conduct foreign policy. It says he just has to do it constitutionally.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Yes.
This isn't saying that
he can't talk to you.
Listen, if the Senate...
Little Barack can't talk to you
right,
anymore.
That's
not what this says.
If they sent a letter being like, oh, by the way, he's not allowed to ever talk to you again.
Right, like John Kerry is a complete D-bag, and you shouldn't talk to him because he doesn't have the authority.
The first part is okay.
And actually the second part is, too, because he does not have the authority to...
Right.
Unless the president, I guess, gives him the power. But does it say that the president can give that power to anybody else?
Well, it doesn't
Hang
matter.
on, I'm reading.
No.
No, the
It doesn't
Constitution
say that
doesn't
anywhere.
say that he can give that power to anybody else. That's weird.
So now enter the
Sandman.
media. Yes, and the media blitz. The New York Daily News headlined the front page: "Traitors." Speaking of the Republicans for sending the letters, traitors. How are they traitors? I don't understand how, in any way, shape, or form. Listen, agree or disagree, they were within their constitutional right. Congress has the right to reach out to other countries.
Authority, yeah.
You can't stop them. And listen, this isn't. They're not conducting policy or anything like. All they're doing is informing and educating another nation
Yes.
of our way of government.
And this is an independent body of government.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with the executive branch.
Right.
This is another branch of government educating a foreign government about what our lawful way is. And if anybody had taken the time to read this letter, how can this be upsetting to them? What is wrong with education? Educating anybody, American citizens, which we kind of touched on that in the UC section, or foreign citizens, foreign world leaders of our system of government. What is wrong with that? How is it bad to inform people what the law is? And I saw a reaction today where it said, well, the letter is flat out wrong. The president does have the authority. No, he does not. I read to you Article 2, Section 2, verbatim from the United States Constitution. It is clear what the process is. Unless we're going to start arguing what the definition of is like, well, what's a treaty? If we're going to start going down that path...
You're already having the Democrats throw out violation of what's called the Logan Act. The Logan Act states, any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, who, without the authority of the United States, directly or indirectly, commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse, not that type, Joe, with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, with intent to influence the measures or conduct.
But this is not a person. This is the government.
No, it says of any officer, any foreign government, or any officer or agent thereof.
But read the first part.
Right, I understand that, but they're talking about them individually.
But they sent this on United States Senate letterhead.
I understand that.
Which makes this an official document as representatives of the United States government. If they sent this on a private letterhead, if they wrote it in crayon, maybe they were acting in the private capacity. If they had finger painted this on the Capitol wall.
And I find the Logan Act to be a little interesting anyways, because if I, Sackhead Sean, sent a letter to Iran
saying that they're a bunch of douchebags,
essentially writing the same thing in order to influence what I believe, I could be held accountable as a private citizen?
According to that, yes. And we could debate that on a separate segment, right? But let's look at what the Democrats are accusing these senators of doing.
Right.
These senators wrote this, and can you read the first part of that act again, please?
Absolutely.
Because I think it's
Any
important.
citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, without authority of the United States.
Okay, perfect. Without authority of the United States. These 47 senators were acting as United States senators. They were acting in their official capacity as members of the United States Senate.
You are correct,
They
sir.
wrote this open letter on United States Senate official letterhead. As such, they are acting as representatives of the United States government, not as a private citizen without consent or authority from the government. So the Logan Act argument is complete crap.
The Logan Act has never been used for prosecution, nor has it been constitutionally reviewed in over 200 years. But there's a couple Democrats who have done kind of the same thing and have never, ever been prosecuted. Senators John Sparkman and George McGovern visited Cuba, met with the government without permission, essentially. Teddy Kennedy, blonde in every pond, sent emissaries to the Soviets to undermine Reagan's foreign policy. House Speaker Jim Wright, back in '84, sent 10 Democrats sent a letter to Daniel Ortega Savada, the head of the military dictatorship in Nicaragua, praising for taking steps to open political, so on and so forth. So the Democrats, John Kerry, Jumped into the pro Senestana pool himself in 1985 when he traveled to Nicaragua to negotiate with the regime. And he was joined by Tom Harkin. And it goes on and on and on. So there's been Democrats. Nancy Pelosi has also done this in 2007 when she met with Bashir Assad. You remember that one when she was looking into his eyes, dreamy. And I'm getting a lot of this information from a Breitbart story as well. That's where I'm deriving it from, but obviously this is all historical fact. As well, there's a couple Republicans who did not sign the letter. Senator Corker, Republican out of Tennessee. Susan Collins, Republican out of Maine. Jeff Flake, Arizona. Lamar Alexander, Dan Coates. Thad Cochran, and Lisa Murkowski out of Alaska. By the way, I saw the best quote today when somebody put this on, what's his name there?
I don't know. How would I know his name? I don't even know who you're talking about.
You do.
I don't.
He's a senator from Arizona. I can't even think of his name. Ran for
McCain?
president. Oh, yeah, I tried to rub it out of my head.
Yeah.
He was asked about this letter, and the only response he comes up is, well, I sign a lot of letters.
I'm sure he does.
What?
Like,
how about coming out and being like, no, I signed it and I stand by it. I think it's an amazing thing for other countries to be educated about our way.
Right.
Jackhole.
And again, this is almost half of the United States Senate.
Right.
This is not one or two people going to try and politically undermine.
Dave Bashir Assad.
Right. This is almost half of the United States Senate that sent this. So I don't have a problem with this. And look, if they're acting in their official capacity as representatives of the government and they represent the United States Senate, I don't think the Logan Law applies.
I don't think so either.
Now, could it have been better if they drafted this resolution and then sent this as a resolution, as a Senate resolution, to the Iranian leaders? Yes.
How about
that? Perhaps would have been better, but I don't think they're wrong.
What if they had representatives sign on to it with them? So now it's a joint congressional letter.
Right. Well, here's the other difference. They're not sending emissaries to
At
go
all.
meet with Iran to influence the talks.
No,
all they're saying
the
is,
president
hey,
does that with
right.
Kerry.
All they're saying is, hey, look, we understand you're negotiating this deal. However, as negotiations progress, here's what you should seriously consider, because this is what legally has to happen in our system of government for this to be binding on us for any long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're saying. This isn't anybody sending emissaries to Russia to undermine foreign relations. These senators haven't gone to Iran in order to speak with leaders to undermine the negotiations process. They sent a letter of education. And so I think there's a huge difference between those examples that you cited earlier with representatives that actually went to countries to try and undermine things.
Yep.
And these senators who, again, in their official capacity, wrote a letter, basically all fact, saying, hey, this is what has to happen. Completely different. It's apples and oranges.
Oh, no, it's not even the same ballpark. I just
Right.
think it's amazing that Democrats would even try to throw it out there. And like I said, it's an old act that hasn't ever
Like
been
the Constitution, it's old. It doesn't really mean
but it's never been prosecuted. Nobody's ever been tested from it.
Right.
And there's been numerous cases.
Was that part
where
of the Alien and Sedition Acts? Was that
maybe?
one of
I
those?
don't know. I don't know. There's a follow-up story on Breitbart. Obama more guilty of treason than Senate Republicans by Joel Pollack.
Right.
Give that a read. And it kind of goes through on how he's stepping way outside his bounds in this than Congress could ever do. It's a good read as well. I won't bore you by reading it verbatim, but it's pretty good. So, listen, this is another smokescreen. The Democrats are trying so hard to put attention where they want it to be and take it away. Everybody knows, we've talked about this last week, you're giving Iran, a country that has never once followed through with anything it's going to say, said it's going to do. You're trying to negotiate with them for nuclear weapons. It's not food aid.
Right.
It's not medical aid.
Right.
It's nuclear weapons. And I know they're going to say it's nuclear power, but it's nuclear weapons, folks.
Right.
You know, the president said it himself that he wants to raise them up and help them to become a regional power with a new equilibrium. You know, No.
But that being said, it is
They haven't earned it.
It is the president's job to negotiate. Like
Right.
they're not saying they can't negotiate. This nowhere in that letter did it say they don't have the authority to negotiate. All it says is, hey, Congress has the job to approve. That's it.
You know what I would like to see is the president send an attaché over to Iran who's
Like
not
a case?
No, emissary.
Oh.
And just have it be, thank you, Sacco, just have it be like a friend of the country, maybe not an American because that might be a little intimidating. Let's send Bibi over on our behalf to negotiate with them.
Right.
I think that would be fine. He wouldn't be in violation of the Logan Act because he's not an American citizen.
Right.
He does more for it. Listen, I want to see Obama negotiate with them the same way that Reagan negotiated
with Gorbachev.
No, with
Oh.
Well, okay, we go down that route, but I was thinking Gaddafi. Either way.
Right.
Either
well, we
way.
don't use the A6 anymore, I don't think, right? So we can't really send
Get 'em out of
intruders over there
mothballs.
anymore. I like it. Have you ever smelled mothballs?
Yes.
How'd you get their little legs apart?
Well, it was really tough. Had to use tweezers. We're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to ask the question about, is the U.S. really with Egypt? And if so...
No, next segment.
Is Egypt going to pick up the bill?
Thank you. Thank you. We have an in-studio audience tonight.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. I'll be coming around to give you Joe Biden back rubs.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying calf for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for our guests. I mean, our in-studio guests are so... I mean...
Give
rounds of
yourself.
applause.
Can you give yourself a round of applause?
Yeah,
Our
give
in-studio
yourself a
guest,
round of
please.
applause there.
Can you give ourselves no? Don't be shy about it. Just stand right up and do it. Give yourself a
Two
round
of you,
of applause.
thanks. Both of you for standing up and giving yourself a round of applause. That was nice. They like cheering for us. See, when I say something about us, the applause happens. I mean, obviously, we are a huge deal, and we're going to have a huge following in Vegas,
Right.
In July,
We're bringing them all with us.
which I can't wait.
It's going to cost us a lot to get them on the bus, but you know what? Our fans come first.
Actually, that's not true. The truth comes first.
Our fans
like
come
our liberty.
third. Our fans come third because we come second.
Like 7.
Well, without us, they wouldn't be fans, right?
Right.
So we're kind of an important part of that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh,
So
man.
Fox News had an exclusive
They did, and they asked the question.
with the Egyptian president.
Yeah, Egyptian President Abdel El-Sisi, or Sisi, I don't know how it's pronounced.
I think it's Sisi.
Okay, an exclusive interview with Fox News.
Was he Spanish? Is that yes? El yes, like the yes? You can't read it like that.
He says he wants the U.S. to play a greater role in helping his country fight terrorism. He urged the creation of an Arab-ready force to confront ISIS and similar groups. By the way, did you see that Boko Haram officially swore allegiance to ISIS this week?
Yes, I did. Stop changing the subject. And that was from the Fox News exclusive.
With Brett Baer.
Urges Arab-ready force to confront ISIS. Questions if U.S. is standing by Egypt. It's an interesting question that he posed.
Very interesting. He addressed the need for what he called religious revolution, urging moderate Muslims around the world to stand up against terrorists twisting their religion. In the short term, he was thinking that military might and funding would be needed to confront extremist threat and questioned whether the U.S. was doing enough to help its friend Egypt. We have been an ally with Egypt for a long time, contrary to the fact that we tried to play political god over there a couple of years ago.
Right,
and the country's become more stable the last couple of years. They've actually taken a very, very active role. Since the Coptic Christians were beheaded in Egypt,
They have.
They've taken
It's amazing how many countries that these people are pissing off.
Yeah, just
Right.
line them
Keep
right
it
up,
guys.
Line them right
Keep
up,
it
geniuses.
Yeah. I think you should do some Russians next. Right?
No.
Right, with a big "F you, Putin." I think that would go really well.
If ISIS could end up in Chechnya, I think that's very possible.
Not that I want to see anybody get executed by ISIS, because I don't.
Right.
But why aren't they screwing with any Russians? Maybe they don't have any.
I think it's only a matter of time they're in Chechnya.
Right? Because, you know why? Because they understand that Putin
Will kill them.
Like right now.
Yes.
Like he would just
by
nuke
himself.
them.
He will ride
Right.
a bear.
And he may or may not send a message saying, "Hey, if you're friendly or if you don't like ISIS, you might
Get
want to
out.
clear out because that whole region is about to become a glass parking lot."
No, he'll just make it a glass parking lot.
Right, and be like, "Oh, sorry, like,
Yeah,
I don't know what
that must have
happened."
been one of the ones that disappeared after the fall
Right,
of the
somebody
Soviets.
launched it. I don't know who it was. Probably the Iranians.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, sorry.
If you see Putin walking away from anywhere in the Middle East, putting on a pair of sunglasses, like something's blowing up behind him. I'm just saying.
Right.
He would deliver it himself. I would
Yes.
not be shocked by that.
So every country sacks up.
Yep.
Except the United States.
Amazing.
So far.
And then you have, and listen, we were against arming Egypt when the Muslim Brotherhood was running it.
Right.
We haven't revisited that topic
We'll arm
on the
Iran.
show.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're just sworn enemies of ours. We'll arm the crap out of those knuckleheads.
Right. And,
Right.
and now that we have a more stable Egyptian government.
Right, we're not gonna arm them
And,
anymore.
and
We're
we've
not
said
gonna
this
help.
time and again, the Egyptian military should get all the credit for that country not falling apart.
Yes.
Because after the fall of the Islamic Brotherhood regime, they stepped in and they did a pretty good. Now, listen, it's Egypt and they do things very, very differently than we do. But they kept order and they didn't become oppressive. And they allowed this last set of elections to happen.
Yes. Which
Proving
they didn't
that
have to do.
Their military is stable. The military leaders are stable.
Yes.
And now it
They
looks
care
like
about their country.
Absolutely, I really believe that. And now I
do
think
too.
you have an Egyptian leadership that cares about its country. And El-Sisi, like I said, was very decisive after the Coptic Christians were murdered, and immediately jumped in and started airstrikes. A little too late, perhaps, but he also doesn't have the resources to have a long, sustained fight at this point.
No, and he said that now more than ever, he needs to see a, quote, big response from capable countries. And the U.S. has suspended weapons and equipment, and he said that this has had a negative indication to the public opinion that the United States is not standing by the Egyptians. And I think that's accurate. I mean, look, it's very difficult to provide money and equipment to all these countries as Americans. Like, we have to pay for all of that. And we know we don't get paid back. And we
Right.
forgive everybody else's debt, but nobody forgives ours, thanks. But they still need equipment. So if we're not going to give them equipment at taxpayer expense, then let's make this part of the ISIS fight and get in there with them. Use Egypt as a staging area, base of operations, and get in there and actually put boots on the ground and troops and equipment and
listen, Exit in the chat room, I'm not, he said bugger to arming any more Muslim countries. I understand that.
Right, so let's send our own boys in there.
Look what happened with Iraq.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look,
Anything could
ISIS
happen.
affects us here in the homeland.
We
It
know
does.
that.
They are calling for lone wolf attacks here in the United States. We know they're here. We know they're recruiting here.
Yep.
I am not a pro-war, war-hound person. I'm not.
But
However,
they're a direct threat.
Because this is a direct threat, not only to our military personnel, but to our law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, but to our American citizens. They're calling for an attack on the Mall of America. Because they are a direct threat to us, we do have an obligation to go over there and kill them. We do.
Yeah, I believe so.
We're at war. And they're not going to understand talking points and peace and building.
Well, they don't. It's
That's
not that
what
they don't understand.
or
They don't
appreciate.
care. They don't want it.
What
There's
I mean
a
by
difference.
what I mean by they don't understand is they don't respond to that.
Right.
Right? They won't respond to the hey, let's talk and hold hands. They respond.
Kumbaya.
Yeah, right. They respond to force. That's what they understand. They understand violence, and sometimes extreme violence and those capable of carrying out extreme violence on behalf of a righteous cause is needed.
Yeah.
For righteousness or liberty to prevail. It is. It's sad. I wish that wasn't necessarily the case, but that is the reality of the world we live in. So if we need to, rather than arm another Arab country, we need to send our troops there to protect Americans here at the homeland because we kill them and we eliminate ISIS and completely dismantle them over there, that will absolutely affect their impact and ability to operate over here in our homeland.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And listen, you have a choice. You could go to where the fight is, where there are larger numbers of them to be able to do actual damage to their stability and their actual infrastructure, or do nothing. And as investigators say in the chat room, the adults respond with force, the kids not so much. Both force and peace are needed, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we wait and we play kumbaya and try to talk them out of it and hug it out and, hey, you know what, we get it, you guys just need some jobs and we have jobs over here, what's going to happen is you're going to be now dealing with tiny pockets of them all over the country, much like they're dealing with in Europe right now. They're going to be committing attacks on a regular basis. Even when the response shows up, you're only going to be taking out 3 or 4 out of hundreds, possibly thousands throughout the country or more. So strategically, you want to go to where you can get the largest amount, more bang for your buck, as horrible as that may sound.
And we don't mean on Broadway and MLK.
Right. Totally different.
Totally different
Totally
type.
different bang for your buck.
Right.
Ben.
Thank you for clarifying that.
But you want to go to where you're going to be able to get the higher concentration. And now the African wing of ISIS, formerly Boko Haram, I will call them ISIS Africa now, they're another ones.
IFRSIS?
IFRSIS. Isrica.
Isrica? Okay.
Isrica is a good one. Either way, they've now, Boko Haram, their numbers are in the thousands. So ISIS has essentially doubled in size in the last 2 weeks. It wasn't big news, which kind of makes me laugh in a sad, sort of pathetic way, that ISIS just doubled in size.
Right.
We have allies all over the Middle East who are actually our allies, not Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about Jordan. I'm talking about...
Air?
Huh?
Air Jordan?
Yeah, Air Jordans.
Okay.
How about Israel? Have we thought about maybe asking Israel if we can run some operations out of their country instead of treating them like second-class citizens and the red-headed stepchild?
What can we run out of their country? They're kind of far away. And,
and it's safe and it's secure, and we could run.
Have help there,
right? And they would actually protect us as much as we're protect them.
Right.
Things like that. But we've said before, and we'll say it again, we need to take a bigger role in defeating ISIS. It's good to see the last couple of weeks that the Iraqi military is starting to step up a little bit more. I do question how much of that is us, with credit being given to the Iraqis for it, now that we have, 4,000 or 5,000 troops on the ground there.
And listen,
overseers,
we will give you
advisors.
We'll give you more credit, but you have to give with us on this negotiation point.
Right. And by the way, just so everyone knows, when we say they're military advisors over there, a large portion of that is special operators that are training them and engaged as well. So don't act like it's advisors. It's like financial advisors trying to teach them how to cook the books. But we do need to take a more active role. And when you have Egypt, a young country again, if you will, because they came through that 4 years or so of having the Muslim Brotherhood, or it was less, it was like 2.5, and they lost a lot of freedoms, and things were really, really kind of destroyed to a point.
Well,
and now they're kind of a young nation again, in the sense that this president's in there. He's trying to do the right thing, whether you agree with him or disagree with him. I think he's trying to do the right thing.
In his mind.
It's stabilizing.
So here's kind of my litmus test. Do we give assistance in the region? Do we put boots on the ground in the region? Do we go after them? And here's the question I ask. Is the terror threat, is the region of influence that they are in, is it expanding or is it collapsing? And I think the region of influence that these terrorists, that ISIS is affecting, it's expanding
greatly.
So if that's the case, then do we not have an obligation to get involved again to protect our citizens here on the homeland
before it hits our shores?
Before it has hit our shows. It has hit our shows
before it starts coming in spades. What?
Yeah, I don't know about how cards have any reference to this right now, or if that was a Boko Haram reference. Either way, I don't understand it. But what you have to do is, why is it that we're not forming alliances with, like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia?
We have alliances with Kuwait. We just choose not to use it.
Jordan,
yeah.
United Arab Emirates,
yeah.
Who else is over there?
We have a large presence and working operation with Bahrain. Huge. That's right over there. And our Coast Guard actually protects Bahrain. That's where all of our military goes for R&R. They have military bases there.
Well, if they go there for R&R, why are we going to have jets and everything go into there and bring war to that region?
Well, what I'm saying is they're pretty good allies.
They're already there.
They're already there. So why wouldn't you want them to launch from there? Because now they're all relaxed and ready to go.
Right.
I mean, seriously, hey guys, I feel great. You pumped up, feel pumped up. Get on the plane, let's blow some crap up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's because I care about them, Clint. That's why.
Okay, you don't have to run. I know you care. You don't have to yell at me about this. Kind of crazy right now.
So I listen, we know we need to take a more active role with ISIS. We haven't done enough. We allowed it. We as a nation, I know we didn't, but we as a nation have allowed it to get out of control to a point. We should have acted a long time ago.
We should have acted a long time ago.
And now you have. It's going to be interesting. Right now, and this is what I told people a long time ago, and this is what I was worried about. You have ISIS, then you have Boko Haram swearing allegiance. What if you start having all the crime lords that run Mogadishu and Somalia?
I thought you were going to say Salamia.
Somalia start swearing allegiances,
and then the drug cartels in Mexico start swearing allegiance.
Wait! Before it even gets to our shores, let's keep it over there for a little bit.
Let's keep it over there for a little bit. We can't. We're not dealing with it effectively.
You have the Chechnya is a humongous Muslim region. And amazingly, one of their Muslim Chechens bombed us a couple of years ago. What if they start aligning the Chechen crime lords over there? Or they don't call them crime lords, but they are, and so on and so forth. You're going to see ISIS grow, and when you have countries like Somalia, it's essentially run by these crime lords, swear allegiance, and this is what I said about Syria too. You now have ISIS running Somalia. And it's already recognized as a state. It doesn't matter. You don't have to recognize the government, but it only takes one other country to really do it. And let's just say Lebanon and Iran and North Korea recognize them as a state.
Have you seen ISIS destroying these historical places?
Oh, it breaks my heart.
Like,
it breaks my heart.
Yeah,
it is
like Hatra.
Yeah.
It was a large fortified city during the Parthian Empire, capital of the first Arab kingdom, destroyed. Right, withstood invasions by the Romans in 116 and 198.
But
sad.
It proves to you what animals they are.
They are, because I mean,
the only history they want is theirs.
Yes, they want to destroy all other history. Now, how evil is that? Was there another group that kind of acted wanted to destroy, redefine,
wanted to kill certain
people and just obliterate everything?
Yeah,
from
there was
history
genocide
books.
involved, erasing history, changing history. To
Oh, Margaret Sanger planned. No, that was something different. But
that was
along those
just
lines,
that was changing the future
of
genocide,
through
changing the
eugenics.
future. Though this is changing the past, so it's convenient, destroying certain things. That
Oh,
make them look
redefining
bad.
our national heritage. No, that was Obama that said that. But, anyways, somebody tried to do something like this before.
Yeah, I can't remember. Had a little mustache, piece of hair falling in his eyes, but I don't remember. I mean, it's just I could see his face, but I can't. It's one of those weird things. And Ag brought this up, and I saw reports about this too. ISIS now talking about destroying the Sphinx and the pyramids again, and they're going to try to make a play on that.
Like they're destroying the pyramids again, like they destroyed them once before? Or?
No. But they were talking about it for a while.
Oh.
I don't think. Listen, if they do that, I think you'll see Egypt go insane, and not in a bad way. I think they'll kind of go the way Jordan did. I mean, they've already jumped in and they've already been bombing and been involved, but I think you'll see a full court press at that point. And I think you'll see a lot of countries, and it's sad to say this. Mm-hmm. I think when you see a couple people die on TV a week, you're like, oh. When you see something like that, much like our trade centers, the response from people is so much more dramatic because for whatever reason it's envisioned as being a bigger thing.
Right.
Meanwhile, one human life to me is more important than any of the fixtures. But the symbolism behind
Is it more
them, I
important than
understand.
world history?
No.
We talked last week, real briefly, about Defense Secretary Ash Carter, where he really wasn't backing Obama's timeline, kind of acting
He was
in that
great.
independent
What was that, 98 Degrees?
Yes. Well, now he's actually saying, well, that three-year thing that Obama was talking about, yeah, that's like we're totally good on that.
Oh, so he got spanked.
No. He's just backing off his position from last week.
So Valerie Jarrett showed up at his office with a phone book and a club.
Right, or a paddle
for a
and some
meeting.
assless chaps.
No. It was a phone book and a club.
Okay.
Nothing with her is fun.
I'm guessing. I don't know. We don't know.
It was a sawed-off baseball bat and a phone book, so it wouldn't leave marks.
It was an axe handle with duct tape.
Right, so it wouldn't leave marks, and
Right.
they had a conversation.
Right, about his
in which she beat on him
position.
repeatedly to change his position, and it worked.
Yeah.
It's worked. I like to see that old government technique sometimes still come through.
Mhm.
It's hard to change policies with some people.
So we actually gave him props a little bit last week, and now
We have
he's
to
kind
take
of
him
a
away.
D-bag. Yeah, we got to take it away.
Yeah, we were saying something to the effect of, "Oh, look, the new kid's actually standing up to
Where
the boss."
have our principled leaders gone?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
That's a good question. Other news is North Korea is still angry. Nothing specifically to talk about. They're just still angry. I just thought I'd bring that up. Lil Kim is all pissy because South Korea.
Little Kim. I don't know why I love that nickname that we gave him.
He's still all pissy because we're having our war
He's
games.
Such a little. I want to see like him in like a little princess outfit, a little tiara, right? Little Kim,
Just
like eating a cupcake.
You know what, Lil Kim, if you're listening, and I think you can get us in North Korea. If you're listening, I really, if you ever get a chance to speak at the UN, if you could just do me a favor and open with the words, hello.
I have a question for Little Kim.
Yes.
And I don't mean this to be mean because I really kind of want to understand. This is an honest question. It's a medical term. But Little Kim, are you retarded? Like, do you have some form of mental retardation going on that affects your ability to
No, he's the supreme leader. He's fine.
No, I'm talking to him personally right now. Like nobody else can hear this conversation. This is just
one-on-one.
me asking a one-on-one here.
You're being Rodman right now.
And again, yeah, I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful. Like mental retardation is a medical thing.
Right.
So I just want to know if he is in fact retarded, because I don't know, and I want to cut him some more. If he is, I obviously want to cut more slack.
We'll see if we can get him some help too. I mean, there's
be more-
services
be
to
more
help him lead a
understanding.
more
but not here,
productive
like,
life.
Taxpayer dollars don't
Over there,
count
but
over there.
well, we could offer assistance and guidance and stuff like that.
I don't know
information.
what we could do for him.
Well, I'm just saying.
But I just want to know so I don't
up a
have to keep
hotline.
talking to him or referring to him in like negative terms, if that's the case.
Well, no, I'd feel bad then.
Yeah, I don't want to make fun of somebody
but
that has that.
Seeing how he
that
was like
disability.
born in the feet of eagles while flying off of a mountain over there, and at the age of 3 he could fly a jet plane by himself. I think he's fine.
Yeah, but if that was the case, like was Putin like on a horse with his shirt off and a bow and arrow,
Riding
and
a
he
bear.
shot, right? And he shot this golden eagle or whatever down, and he dropped him on his head.
No, they're
I don't
friends.
know if that's
they're
what
friends. No, that wouldn't happen.
happened. Okay,
That wouldn't. You could actually argue that
is Putin his father?
Putin was riding the eagle.
Is Putin his father?
No,
Did Putin mate with the eagle and conceive little Kim?
that's possible.
Okay, so it is possible.
That
he's his
is
father.
absolutely possible. I think it's almost scientifically possible. I'd have to do a little bit of research.
Just a little bit. Like
I'll
we
I'll
will research
Google
that
it and
and
see
get
what
back to
comes
that.
up.
Don't Google it because they're anti-gun. We'll Bing it. We'll Bing it.
Oh man, not much else has happened this week. Still waiting.
Right.
Still waiting. I think we have more Benghazi hearings coming up this week, so I'm looking forward to that. And really, I think you're really going to see Hillary come apart here in the next 2 weeks. I think it's going to be her undoing, cankles and all. I just made everybody in the studio sick.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Hey, before I forget, make sure you get a chance. Go to Pundit Press and look for the Unpleasant Blind Guys podcast. This one's 15 minutes. If you haven't checked out Ag, make sure you check it out. He always has that and his conservative bites. Those two are unbelievably well informed and fun. One of the most fun thing I saw for Valentine's this year was Ag's conservative bite. It was pretty awesome. So make sure you check him out as well. And leave some comments and tell him the Sack Kids sent him, and then hopefully he has the big screen and he can see it that night. I just for his sake, you know what I mean? Right. I don't want him to not be able to see it. Let's see. Closing comments for the night. Ken in the chat room says, "Kiss the cankles." Egg is calling her.
Or can you pickle the cankles and like suck on them with some like hot sauce?
Egg is calling her Kankenstein.
Kankenstein,
That's
nice.
horribly awesome. I don't know. I don't know.
Does Ken eat pickled cankles?
I don't know. Ken, do you? We'll have to ask.
Yeah.
Kankenstein, that might be my favorite.
That's a pretty good one.
Listen, folks, that's it. We had a good show. It went by quick. It went by fast. Sacco, thank you for joining us for half the show this week. That's pretty awesome. Next week we'll schedule around you. You let us know, and we'll just turn the mics on whenever you get here. We're sorry to.
Yeah, sounds good.
No, I just I don't want to put you out and everything. Check Sacco out in a little YouTube show called The Ruins, as he stars in the first two first two web. What do they call it? Webisode.
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 Is it a webisode?
And make sure you comment and share it with all your friends. We're going to make him a superstar. He does, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sacco, you do play Sasquatch in that, right?
I do play Sasquatch.
Okay, cool. So and that's the lead. It's a talking role, so that's kind of cool. Make sure you check out Sackhead Clint on Twitter at Sackhead Clint.
I'm going to say something one of these days.
You're going to get around to it. Okay. And
don't worry
you know what? Check me out Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 on the East Coast, here on SHR Media. I'm also going to be doing a live broadcast on the radio out there as well, out of Philadelphia, Monday through Friday.
No big deal.
No big deal. So if you get a chance, make sure you check that out. Check out all the great shows here on SHR Media. We thank them so much. Tomorrow, Jason Miller, Corey Evan, they have Michelle Bachman on the Evan Miller Report, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 in the East, followed immediately by The Exceptional One, Ken McClinton, who you have to listen to every single night, or seriously, the bad guys win. If you don't listen to Ken, you don't love America. I'm just there. I just said it. I said
You
it.
just said it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. So make sure you check it out tomorrow night. Sir, thank you for an awesome show.
No, thank you.
It was really a blast, and I love it every single week. Sacco, can you, if you're not too busy, I'm sorry, but
yeah.
can you play us out tonight? If you're not too busy?
Give me a second. Hold on.
No.
Hey, guys, give him applause. Give him applause. No?
No.
You
Sorry,
have
man.
the button. You have the button.
It's not playing. Let me see if you can play us out. There it is.
Nothing but the best here on the Sackheads Radio Show on the SHR Media Network.
To give you the best in conservative talk, the Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.